Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Rob.
And this is Ask Rob and Rob.
Welcome to Ask Rob and Rob. It's that time again. We've got more questions and more answers coming up. We've got a couple of really interesting ones this week. So we're not going to leave you waiting long till you can hear those, but it is worth, first of all, giving you a quick reminder of how to send in your own wonderful question.
Yes, you can go to our lovely shiny website, propertyhub.net/ask, and leave a message there. Or you can call this very special number, which will then mean that in the office, a big red phone will light up and no one will answer and it'll get sent to a voicemail. But that's all you need to do. You call 013-808-00035 and you will get to that very special voicemail. Now, this week we've got two questions in. One from Paul, and the other person hasn't given us their name, so we'll call them John.
Hi, Rob and Rob. Great podcast. Really enjoy catching up with you guys every week. Some really good breakdown of some involved and complicated matters sometimes. Really, really good the way you guys convey it to everybody. Question for you is, I'm looking at a property which has a tenant in situ. The requirement is cash only purchase. I wanted to check with you guys about what I should be looking out for. I'm aware of some of the questions already concerning the existing tenancy agreement inventories, but also would like to understand, if I pay cash, is there anything that then prevents me from remortgaging the property shortly afterwards in order to draw down some of my cash back, which I can then use for an investment elsewhere? Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you for your question, Paul. The question I would like to ask you, if we were talking and not just having this weird voicemail conversation, is why you were buying in cash in the first place and where that requirement comes from. If the requirement is just speed, so you managed to get a deal and as a result of paying in cash because you've got that kind of speed and certainty, then that's fine. But if there's any other reason why it's only a cash purchase, then of course that would likely still be the case when you come to try and get a mortgage. So in some transactions, there's a stipulation for cash buyers only, not because they're in a rush as such, but they know that if anyone tried to get a mortgage, they'd find it really difficult. Commonly, this is in situations like short leases, for example, where they just know that any mortgage application is probably going to fall over at some point. So that's question number one. Why are you buying in cash? If it is purely for speed and there's nothing else that would make it more difficult to get a mortgage, then the fact that it's tenanted wouldn't preclude you from getting a mortgage after originally paying in cash. The lender will want to see the tenancy agreement and they'll still want to do the inspection that they do, so the tenant would need to give access for that, but there's nothing in there that would cause you any difficulty. You do also need to be aware that some lenders won't lend until you've owned the property for 6 months, or won't let you apply until you've owned the property for 6 months. So this isn't a hard and fast rule. There are some lenders who will let you apply for the mortgage as soon as you've taken ownership, but if you want the absolute broadest range of lenders and products, then you would need to be waiting 6 months before you apply. So you could be looking at more like 9 months by the time you've actually done that, had the application through and got your money out. What I would suggest doing for safety, Paul, is even if you are planning to buy cash, it is, like I said, purely a speed thing, and planning to remortgage later, I would still run it by a mortgage broker to make sure that you can get a mortgage down the line. Because you don't want to be in a situation where you pay cash, assuming that everything's fine, and you'll be able to get, say, 75% of your money back out again within a year, then find out that there is some issue that you weren't aware of, meaning you can't get a mortgage at all, and therefore your money is stuck in there until you sell the property at some future point. So run it by a broker, get their opinion, say, if I wanted to get a mortgage on this in the future, would I be able to? Then you can go into that purchase with confidence. One final note, and you haven't said anything about this, but just for anyone listening, it's highly unlikely that if you did buy with cash then remortgage straight away, that you would be able to get a mortgage based on anything other than the price you paid for it. So if you manage to get a particularly good deal, buy it at a bit of a discount, it's unlikely that if you go for a mortgage straight away, you'll get any kind of uplift recognised and therefore be able to pull more cash back out again. It's possible, but it's very unlikely when such a small amount of time has elapsed. You haven't said that's what you wanted to do. It sounds like it's just a convenience thing, but just mentioning that so everyone else is aware. So Paul, hope that helps and good luck with your purchase.
Hi, Rob and Rob. I've been listening to your podcast for ages, and I thought it must be about time to ask you a question, especially as you always give out such great, well-considered advice. So I might be able to retire early in the not-too-distant future. A couple of things need to be sorted. But if I do get a lump sum with enough money to buy 1 or 2 houses, which would give me enough income to live on, and I'm not looking to take over the universe, why would I, instead of doing that, take on mortgages and buy 4 or 5 houses to give me the same income? I'm just, everywhere you go, all the podcasts you listen to, mortgages are plugged as the way to build up a portfolio. But if you can do it straight off with a lump sum, why would you bother with mortgages? It just seems like an extra cost. Hope that makes sense. Thanks very much. Cheers.
John, thank you for your question. You know what? You don't have to take a mortgage out. You can keep it simple like you've suggested. If that helps you achieve what you want to do, then do it. The reason you might want to consider a mortgage is not because it gives you extra cost. It doesn't. Well, the rental income will cover that mortgage and you'll have a profit on top. The reason why you consider it is because the capital growth potential with these properties. Because let's say that you had 200k and that 200k could go and buy you those 2 properties that give you the income that you desire. Or that 200k can allow you to go and buy, let's say, after some purchase costs, 700k's worth of property because you're putting 25% down and 75% loan to value with your mortgages. Now, when the property market goes up by 10% at some point in the future, and at the moment, as we record this, it's pretty much each year it's growing up by 10%, then the value of your portfolio with the 2 properties, so 200k, would be worth an extra £20,000 because it's gone up by 10%. Fantastic. But the 700k portfolio would have gone up by 70,000. So £50,000 more. You've not laid out any more cash. Yes, you've had to purchase more properties, and yes, you've had to manage those properties. So, there is some additional work involved. However, you've made significantly more through capital growth, over 300% more, 20k to 70k. So that's a sizable difference. And that's only if it grows by 10%. Of course, it can grow by a lot more than that. So you don't have to do that. That might be just the cherry on the cake that you don't want to eat. And that's absolutely fine. But at least you now know what you're potentially giving up by not taking out mortgages and not leveraging. But John, whatever you do, you are in a great position and you have that option available to you. You don't have to do it. It's nice to have the option though. Best of luck. So thank you for your questions and thank you for listening. We'll be back on Thursday with the Property Podcast and of course back next week with Ask Rob and Rob. So until then, take care, have fun, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.